Hello, future challengers, or current challengers looking for ways to improve. This is the first in a series of videos about how to succeed in the CounterSide ranked Gauntlet, also known as the Real-Time Arena, or RTA for short. The very first thing we're going to talk about is the exciting world of game settings. Surprisingly, having the right settings can give you a big advantage in the Gauntlet, so this is definitely something worth experimenting with. First, we'll play a battle with the default settings, just to have a baseline, just to see what we're working with here. So as you know, with default settings, the game screen tracks to any major event. Awaken summons, ship ultimates, unit ultimates, things that are important to know and cool to see. The animators worked hard on this game's effects, so they want to make sure you experience them. In regular PvE battles, this is great, since your enemies don't normally have any awaken units or ship skills to use. Unfortunately, in ranked Gauntlet, this can cause problems. If your camera swings around wildly each time your opponent summons an awaken unit, or uses an ultimate, it's going to be a lot harder to keep track of what's going on in the battlefield. Worse, you might summon a unit in the wrong place because the camera decided to swing just as you were dropping the unit. Experienced a lot of that when I was starting out. But yeah, let's speed this up a bit. It's very flashy, very cool, fun to watch, but really hard to read. Like, how do people even play like this, right? But yes, the question is, what can we do about this? The answer is in the settings. So let's go have a look at them and see what it is that we can actually change. In the Game tab, we actually see the offending settings right away. Skill camera is the big one. That's what causes your screen to zoom around like a hyperactive puppy anytime an awakened unit appears or an ultimate goes off. And I think there's just no reason to leave this setting on when playing ranked. Camera tracking is more subtle. You might even find it helpful sometimes, as long as the skill camera is turned off. But I prefer to have full control of the camera, even if it means a little more micromanaging. Skill buttons are actually cool, so it feels like a shame to turn them off. But they can be pretty disorienting in the heat of battle, especially if both players have the same character on the field and you're not sure who's firing off the ultimate. Disabling them also gives you a bit more time to catch up with what's going on in the field. You can always turn all these options back on when you return to PvE content. So with those issues taken care of, is there anything else helpful in here? There actually is at least one more thing we can do, and it's a game changer. On standard screens, the game defaults to a 16:9 resolution, but we can manually change it to a 21:9, and bam! Now, while the game does look a little smaller and take up less screen space, in practice this change means being able to see way more of the battlefield at the same time, which is huge for ranked Gauntlet, because there's a lot of information to track, and having a wider field of view means you're less likely to be surprised by something like an enemy sniper in the back taking apart your front line, or your ship getting backdoored while your team is pressuring the enemy's side of the field. I also checked with the official CounterSide Discord's PvP community, and they gave me a few more ideas to help with readability. One of the suggestions was bringing down effect opacity, which makes some effects more see-through. It's a sliding scale, so you can play around with it to find the right balance for you. At 35%, the effects are almost invisible, so it might be hard to catch something important happening. 50% is what the person that's suggesting this setting was using. And for me personally, 70% seems to strike a nice balance. So for now, let's go with that. Another suggestion was removing damage numbers. Under damage/ buff, the default is available, but you can set it to none or part, which is what we'll be using. You'll still see callouts for misses and crits, but the damage numbers won't show up. It's not like you could really do anything with that information. And you still have the HP bars. You can also set it to none and have the crits and miss callouts removed if that works better for you. None will also remove the floating buff and debuff notifications. Alright, with all of that done, let's go back to that original fight and see what the difference is, how these changes actually impacted. You can see right away that the battlefield's a lot bigger, and also that we're now in control of the camera, have to move it around ourselves. But I think being able to deploy your units more accurately makes up for that. Also, there are these awkward pauses while an awakened unit is being summoned, which you can now use to get a read of the battlefield and queue up your own summons, instead of waiting for the animation to end before desperately trying to pan back to where you want to summon your own units in response, all while hoping some other effect isn't going to hijack your camera before you finish dropping it. Because you're in control of everything, you will have to make sure that you don't miss an important summon or ultimate getting used, but with practice you will get the hang of it, and you will play more effectively as a result. You can also mess around with sound settings and turn off music so you can hear all the callouts and abilities more clearly, but personally I like the dramatic Gauntlet music and feel like it gets me more fired up during the matches. Maybe you like some of these settings and not others. Maybe you find the skill guidance helpful, or that having too wide of a view causes information overload for you. You should experiment with the settings for yourself in order to create something that works best for you, but I can say with confidence that leaving all the settings on default is going to leave some of your potential ranked Gauntlet performance on the table. At the very least, you gotta turn off skill zoom. If you're a newer player with worse equipment, fewer characters, and less battle experience than your peers in ranked Gauntlet, then you're going to want to get every advantage you can get. With this series, I hope I can help you find some of those advantages. Did you find this video helpful? If you liked it, please give it a like, and do subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Are there any settings I missed that you think can give players an advantage? What ranked Gauntlet subject would you like me to tackle next? Let me know in the comments below.